ancient monk high in the Tibetan mountains that has reached an altered state near nirvana, kind of a blob nirvana, if you will. And there are rumors that he has attained a state of 0 calorie burn.
Couch body.
I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 I'm gonna get myself a modem.
All right, welcome to Lunch Therapy. I'm your host, Joel Marshall. Today we have an excellent guest, the author of this book, The Color of Everything, The Journey to Quiet the Chaos Within. Cory Richards is an amazing person. We're super lucky to have him on the show. I'm a little intimidated, I must say, climbing Mount Everest without oxygen, being a world-renowned photographer. This is going to be super fun. Looking forward to this conversation. Let's see who's here. Jay Patterson is here. Hoy. Kamala Lopez. All right. Neil Phillip. Hoy. All right. It's good to see everybody. I want to thank the Patreons. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. This show happens every Friday at noon. We're live, having live, raw conversations. You can join in. Howard Aronin, Mike Knox, Todd Lee, Kamala Lopez, Liz Lopez, Robert Lopez. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Jane Marshall, Jay Patterson. Jay Patterson is the co-host on Tuesdays when we do a different show with the same name called Lunch Therapy, where we do quizzes and comedy and sketches and all that stuff. So join us on Tuesday as well at noon Pacific time. Pam Palmieri, Neil Phillips, Seth Word, Jason Edelman, Daniel Muchler, who is the king of trivia, and Mary Marks. Let's get into this thing. We're going to breathe like we always do. Todd Lee is here. Hoity, hoy, hoy, hoo, all the way from Seattle, Washington. Yeah. Feel free to join in if you have any questions, too, because this is dense. This is a dense life that we're going to be talking to here. So we're going to breathe now. Breathing is fundamental here at Lunch Therapy. We make sure that we always breathe. Behind me I have Travis Schumacher from Healing Vibrations. Once many years ago while exploring off-path, I found a small, forgotten canyon, he says. Its walls were steep, its canopy was lush, and its water was gentle. I sat and wondered how long it had been since another human was there. Lost in thought, I stayed for hours. In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. In through the nose. Hold it. Let it go. One more time, in through the nose. Hold it. And let it go. Sven is here from Belgium. Cycler here. Love the slopes. Kamala says she'd see no color at all if she were to climb Mount Everest without oxygen. She'd probably see blackness. Just pass right out. Hoy. We say hoy on the show, just for people to know. It means many things in many languages. Sometimes it means, I don't know, things that are should not be said in polite company, but we do it anyway. We think it means holy in some Scandinavian, we think it means high in some Scandinavian country, but we don't know. Ginny Sykes is here. Holy. Ginny's got some shows coming up. Check out her Instagram. All right, it's time to get into this show here. Get into the interview here with Cory Richards. Cory, well, let's see, where do I begin? He's a National Geographic Photographer Fellow, Adventurer of the Year, Oxford Artist in Residence, and the first and only American to summit an 8,000-meter peak in winter. Yeah, his documentation of that climb and the near-fatal avalanche that followed appeared on the cover of the 125th anniversary issue of National Geographic and also spawned the award-winning film Cold, which we'll show a little trailer of that. Growing up in the mountains of Utah, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder as a teenager, dropped out of high school, and found his way into the wild, not as an escape from life, but as a way to survive it. What followed was a career that took him to both poles, into war zones, and up the face of Everest. He attempted Everest in 2012 and suffered a massive panic attack on the mountain, a moment that led to to a PTSD diagnosis and years of reckoning with addiction and mental health. And eventually he returned, summited without oxygen. He turned all this experience into a memoir called The Color of Everything, a journey to the quiet chaos within, which I highly recommend. There's a link in the show notes. He's currently a keynote speaker and also tells important stories through photography, and the world is wide open. Please welcome to Lunch Therapy, Cory Richards. Wow is right.
Wow. Yeah, it's what an interview, or what a
intro. Here's just a little clip here from...
By the time I was 14, I was completely dropped out of high school, and for the most part, homeless. My education came from observing what was happening around me and observing that richness that comes with struggle. I was always looking for a way to translate what I was seeing around me, and photography became my voice in this big, very confusing world.
Okay. We have journeyed to the center of Cory Richards. Welcome to Lunch Therapy.
Thanks for having me. This is great. I've never, the production on this is just epic.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Well done.
Thank you. I listened to your book. Cory, you also narrate the book on audible.com. So people want to check that out. And you do a great job with the narration of it, too.
Thank you. Are you sick of my voice yet?
No, you've got a great voice. You're like Malcolm Gladwell or something.
Well, we get another hour of it.
It's good. It's good. What an incredibly personal memoir. When I was just last night, I was thinking, like, what if I wrote a book like this? First of all, would I even be able to remember all the details that you remember?
Yeah.
But also, would I be able to tell a story in such a frank, personal way? What spurred this on that you decided to write this book? I know there's a little bit of talk at the end of the book about something that happened when they were going to make a movie about you. Is that why you decided to write the book?
Honestly, I think it was a reaction to sort of this idea that I had lost an identity, and I needed to find something else, and not in terms of like I need to be a writer at all. In fact, I really try to be mindful of how I categorize myself, because I found that if I say I am this or I am that, and I'm sure I'm going to say it throughout the interview sometimes, but I find that to be a little bit of a trap, because then if that goes away, what happens? So I think I was just confused about okay, and I'm not really a photographer in the way that I was anymore, and I'm walking away from climbing. And so what do now in this vacuousness, how do I unwind and reknit the fabric of myself in a way that's meaningful? And so I think more than anything, the book was just an excavation of that. It was a response to a sense of maybe a little bit of lostness and also wanting to understand myself on a deeper level. And then it became something different, you know what I mean? Then it
Yeah.
became like, well, maybe if I write this and if I write it well and honestly, then other people will feel seen in it. And that would end up being the gift, you know? So,
You and I were talking when we met about the idea. I had just seen the Dark Wizard, the Dark Wizard, which is the
yeah,
story, that incredible story about Dean Potter, that was,
yeah,
and how it felt like he definitely had a death dream. I'm not
yeah,
saying he was dreaming to die, but he had a dream when he was very young, that he died falling off a cliff or something, and it haunted him. But at the same
yeah.
time, he kept playing with that edge until it finally got him. I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but I think you know that. What happened with you? I know you grew up in Colorado, and your parents were really, your dad especially, was really gung-ho on this kind of outdoors climbing and had you doing this at a very young age. What drew you into this?
Well, I mean, so I grew up in Utah. I lived in
Oh,
Colorado
Utah.
for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it was just ingrained, right? We grew up, and so my earliest memories are backpacking and skiing and learning how to climb. So those are some of the first sort of fragments that I really remember. And so it was almost like walking, and after adolescence, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about, it was again trying to find some foothold in a world where I very much felt, and still do to some degree, where I just kind of don't fit. And so in many ways, it's always been a way to find my footing, if that,
Isn't that interesting?
excuse the pun. Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Find your footing someplace where maybe other people would find that there's not a lot of room for footing.
Yeah, exactly. The footholds are small.
I started skiing really young, and I feel really comfortable skiing. Like I always have. Haven't been skiing a lot recently because it's so damn expensive. But I feel really comfortable with it. And like when people say, oh, it's really dangerous and all this stuff, it doesn't even come into my mind really. Is that similar to what it's like to be a climber?
Well, I mean, climbing is inherently dangerous, is what makes it in many ways so special, because like you referenced Dean, you are touching the edge, you're peering over it, especially at a high level of climbing. Climbing at a lower level is actually much safer than people think.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to get up into that upper strata, it does become very dangerous, and it's very much aligned with mythology and the sort of the hero's journey, which I talk a little bit about in the book, which is this idea that when you go and you peer over the edge, life becomes so much richer.
Mm-hmm.
The textures feel more, or it has more texture, and smells become more pungent in the best way, and then the issue with it is that the more you do that, the closer to the edge you get, and there's really only one inevitable end to that if you continue to push it that far, and you fall over it. And but again, that's what makes it so special. So it absolutely feels dangerous. But to say it's adrenaline is not quite right. It's an awareness of your finitude.
There's almost this, climbers always talk about on Everest, the dead people that they pass by, and you have certainly experience in the book with that there, and also in Peru. And it's weird though, to me, the way people talk about these carcasses or these dead people that are on, because it seems almost like there's almost like a humor to it, or almost like a coldness to it. Is that something that you distance yourself from, or is that something that is actually a touchstone of some sort?
Well, I think it's a compartmentalization, right? Because when you see dead bodies, it changes your psychology. It has an effect on us, right? And so I think the callousness that comes across is not an insensitivity. It's not a lack of empathy. Rather, it's a reaction or a response to something that challenges the very act that we're doing, right? So if you're focusing on the dead people, you're probably not going to continue to go.
I wouldn't.
Where, right? So you're like, oh shit, that can happen to me. I should probably not do it.
I'm so hyper aware of that I don't think I could ever get even close to something like that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because there's this very human nature to it too, where you know, like when a body is left, especially high in the Himalaya, it freezes, and so it's mummified. And so these bodies they look very much alive lying in the snow, at least from a distance, and it's jarring because like, well, that person is no longer with us, but their body is so it's so present. It's so it just feels alive, and it's both eerie. I mean, truthfully, there's something sculptural about it. I think it's quite beautiful because they have an essence to them that is both a horrific reminder of death, but also a marvelous reminder of life. So it's the duality that they inhabit for me that I find so beautiful.
You had a moment in your youth, and I don't quite understand it in reading the book, is you were like a scholar and you were a straight A student, and then all of a sudden it took a turn. What made that turn happen? And are you grateful for that turn?
Oh my God. I am so grateful for that turn. I often get, asked, oh, is there anything you regret? Would you do it differently? What if your parents had done this? What if, and the fact is they didn't, and it happened.
Yeah.
So the hypothetical in and of itself feels a little bit self-indulgent because you're like, well, it didn't happen that way. So I have one choice, or I have a choice. I can view this as everything happened for me or everything happened to me. And given the choice, I'm going to choose for me because, quite frankly, like I love my life now. That doesn't mean I don't struggle. It doesn't mean I don't have days where I'm like, fuck this. Yeah. But and the turn is intentionally quite nebulous. There was a singular moment where I felt like, wow, innocence was just lost. But I don't write about that in great details just to protect
just kind of happens in the book, and I'm kind of like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, the saying, then one punch is thrown that extinguishes the light of childhood forever, and it just the relationship with my brother was so tumultuous and so violent and so rageful and my brother's 2 years older.
Mine too.
And but in my mind, he was a god. He was an adult in some ways to me. And we never had that, at least after a certain point, we never had that brotherly relationship. It was always a battle for not supremacy, but I would say attention. And that's deeply woven into the psychology of a family. And so, but again, blame in this context is absolutely useless. It has no bearing. We can blame the people that wrong us, or we can frame the occurrence as a gift that becomes formative. And look, that is, some people might, and I don't believe in toxic positivity. I'm not trying to say that we just gloss over these things, and I'm not saying they don't have profound impacts. What I'm saying is we have agency over the stories we tell, and those stories shape us. And because of that, we navigate life either as victims or as people taking full agency. And, you know, I've heard it said a million times in different ways, but it's not your fault what happens necessarily, but it is your responsibility to deal with it rather than continue to extend that to the world around you through pain.
There seems to be in the climbing world a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to be a lot of competition going on between the climbers. Who does this first? Who did this without ropes? Who did this, you know? And do you think that's toxic to the environment?
I think, you know, is it toxic? It can be.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is always that life is just a yes and I know that seems so sort of lazy, but it actually is true. There's a profoundly beautiful aspect to the competition. Competition is what has driven innovation, right?
Yeah.
Competition is what has what pushed Roger Bannister to break the 4-minute mile. Mm-hmm. So competition necessarily pushes consciousness forward. What is possible, right? What can we do?
Yeah.
And so that in and of itself, competition is not bad. I think it becomes a darker expression when without the competition or without exceeding one's own idea of self and what they are possible of, then it becomes sort of a degrading of their personhood. Well, I couldn't do it, ergo, I'm not as valuable. Mm-hmm. Or I have to do it to be valuable, which entirely circumnavigates or sort of skips the idea that your value is inherent. You don't have to do anything to be valuable. You just are. Life is valuable. It's fucking precious, man. It's so astronomically special just to be breathing.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a gift.
So,
wow. So can you talk, you got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and is that something that is a cause that you have taken up and not something that you've hidden? You've chosen to put that out there and talk about it. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how that has affected you, maybe positively and negatively?
For sure. Look, and I always start this by saying I'm not a clinician. Mm-hmm. I'm a student of psychology. So if I get something wrong, have a little grace. But the way, you know, bipolar is basically, I don't even like to call it a disorder. It is a condition of the mind in which we cycle from profound highs to, you know, suicidal lows. And it can happen quite quickly. People cycle at different rates. Some people have long cycles, some people have short cycles. And it's categorized right now into two expressions, bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. We used to call it manic depression, and it was just a blanket thing. Bipolar 1 is characterized by mania, and mania can verge on psychosis. And these are the things where you're like selling the house and betting it all in Vegas and doing, you know, bucking rails off hookers for a weekend and then being like, what happened?
Yeah.
But people also create in those manic spurts. Bipolar 2 is categorized by what's called hypomania. And hypomania sits right below mania. Your thoughts are still very fast. You're very effective. You can learn languages. You can accomplish pretty much anything. And there is a certain element of grandiosity, but it's not psychotic grandiosity. And I was diagnosed bipolar 2. I have a tepid relationship with diagnoses because so often they come with a profound stigma or story around them. And specifically in the mental health space, we tend to think of these diagnoses as, I mean, we've called it mental illness, we've called them disability, and even those words imply some sort of fundamental flaw. I don't believe that at all. I believe that these things are not something to be cured. They are natural adaptations, and they are something to be managed. When managed well, bipolar specifically, and things like ADHD, which, by the way, ADHD and bipolar 2 are often very interwoven and overlapping. And oftentimes, it's hard to discern, right? I was diagnosed bipolar 2 in the mid 90s, and that's when everybody was being diagnosed bipolar 2 or bipolar. Now we're diagnosing everybody with ADHD, right? So it goes through these but if you take out bipolar from human history, you take out, I can't actually quantify it, but I would say 80% of the world's greatest art. Gone.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Like there's a documented, well-documented, well-studied link between the bipolar mind and creativity. And so if you cure that, what happens to the artistic temperament? What is eroded? What is lost? And but managed well, you get to experience the creativity without the crash. And but oftentimes there is creation in the crash as well. So again, it's a yes and. These things are not black and white. There is no black and white to this.
Yeah. I find that I go through that process in creating things as I put myself in jeopardy. Something, I'll book a show or I'll produce something, or like this show. Yeah, this happens every Friday at noon, and I put myself in a predicament where I get depressed because I feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And but that is the thing that I find that drives me to do better.
And overwhelm is, again, when we don't know how to hold it, we tend to distract, right? And so we tend to procrastinate or do these things, which then increases the anxiety, which increases depression, which then we're in this cycle of like, well, I know I have a million things to do, but I don't want to do any of them because it's too stressful. And now I'm depressed because I'm not doing anything. And now I feel shitty about myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is so it's all about doing the next thing, just one thing. But when we are overwhelmed by the myriad, like the huge list of things that we have to do, it's very easy to fall prey to our own. But again, even depression, I would argue, is not something we want to cure. We don't want people to choose to end their lives. But again, I mean, that is a choice, and that is a tool for many people, a tragic one. But depression also gives us the ability to connect with more empathy to others and more ability to take on their pain.
It is hard to relate to someone who's like, I'm perfect, I'm fine, everything's fine.
Yeah, I'm great.
Like for some reason, I'm not really drawn to people like that because I feel like they're full of shit or they're lying or something. I just feel like I got to get past that to get to the real person,
Yeah, it's just not interesting.
It's not interesting. You're right. It's not interesting.
It's just, okay, cool. I'm happy for you. I'm gonna go talk to the guy that has really gone through it because I want his wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I know, it's true. Okay, so now I really want to talk about this near-death experience that you had. You've had more than one, of course, but this is kind of the major one that you are known for. I'd like to show the trailer to Cold, the movie Cold. Let's do that.
I hate it, but
you
go
hate
for it.
Okay, let's do
I hate it.
Okay. I don't know why this is.
What the fuck am I doing here?
an intense experience. I saw the movie Cold. There's a part of me that just goes, why do you put yourself in this situation when you're in the tent with the guys and it's like minus 40 degrees and it seems like they're like, I mean, those guys are probably really nice guys, but they seem like demons in the moment. It's like, do you get up there and just go, what have I gotten myself into? What am I doing?
Well, I mean, that's, the opening line. What the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah. And
yeah, that introspection is real, but it's so funny. I watch that and I get emotional now because I sort of see myself crying. And I mean, the thought that just occurred to me as I was watching it is, oh, baby boy.
Yeah.
Like, you're good. It's going to be fine, but yeah, it was a powerful experience. And what happened was, I love that. If I wasn't bipolar, I would not have done anything exciting in my life.
That's hilarious.
That is just,
It's a good
that's
quote.
perfect. I might use that.
Yeah.
We were there in the winter of 2010, 11. So it's been 15 years,
Yeah.
and I was 29 years old. Very ambitious in the climbing world, climbing above my pay grade, and taking these things on, and getting invited because I was a photographer. I was never an exceptional climber. I was a good climber, but I was never exceptional. And on the descent, we were leaving Camp 1 and going down to base camp. It had been snowing we got hit by a big storm, so there was a lot of fresh snow, and we were traversing in a flat area, which is called the deposit zone, underneath an avalanche slope of a mountain called Gasherbrum. I think it was Gasherbrum 6 or Gasherbrum 5. I don't know. And very low cloud ceiling. And I was very nervous because I had seen avalanche debris in this area before, and we couldn't move quickly because the snow was so deep. And I heard a crack above us, and then I knew exactly what it was.
Really?
Yeah, I knew it, and I saw the cloud, sort of the air blast coming towards us, and I screamed, "Run!" And of course we got one step before it hit us, and it's a very jarring experience. It's like getting in a car accident where it's super loud and silent at the same time. And it picked us up and it started tumbling us. It's very much like being in a washing machine, where you can't make sense of what's up. The only way you know what's up is because it's a lighter hue. But as you get pulled down, as your body weight sucks you down, it gets darker and darker and darker. And I just remember being very angry and upset that I was dying, and knowing that on some level, what I was doing might not be worth the cost that I was paying. And right as we started to slow down, I just sort of threw my body in the direction that I hoped was up. And I ended up like partially buried, my face on the surface. But these things are horrific. You've got snow shoved in your mouth, in your nostrils, down your down suit, around your neck. It's wildly uncomfortable. And we stopped, and my first thought was, well, Simone and Dennis, the demons, who I love dearly.
It's terrible that I called them that.
No, not at all. It's great. They'd love it. The demons are dead, and now I have to get down alone. And then I heard Simone's voice, which, by the way, is one of the highest pitch. He talk like this.
I love the way he talks. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard his voice, and then shortly thereafter, I felt his hands on me, and it's funny. I often say and I'm borrowing a phrase here. There's oftentimes when we think we've been buried, we've actually been planted.
I like that.
Yeah. And I look back and I see them both happening. I'm buried and planted. And I think I stayed buried under that avalanche for years.
Yeah.
And and also it was a planting where, had that not happened, had that day never occurred, my life would not be in any way, shape, or form what it is now. But it was also very confusing because, trauma operates in a very specific way in the brain, and yet two people can go through the same experience and come out of it, one completely unfazed and another wildly impacted and affected. And there's always been some level of confusion and almost shame around the way I came out of it, being very, very affected, and the way Simone and Dennis came out of it seemingly unscathed.
Well, they were
Because I'm like,
already
well,
talking about like, oh, he fell down a crevasse and I pulled him out. They were already
Right.
talking about some horrific thing, as if it was
Right.
like nothing. I just wonder, yeah. Anyway, as you were
I mean,
saying.
so I've had a tough relationship with it because it's always like, wait, was it as bad as I thought? Did I make this up? And I've finally come to grips with the fact that everything I just said, which is the brain does what the brain does.
Yep.
And specifically, if you have what we refer to as complex post-traumatic stress disorder, you are far more predisposed to have an acute episode of PTSD. So if your childhood was really rough or something like that, or
It links back.
It's all, I mean, that's why the first quote, the quote about the first chapter is, "The past she is haunted, the future is laced." And they are inseparable until you unwind them. And that is the journey of self-discovery. That's the journey of introspection. That's the journey of honesty. But for me, the avalanche was this inflection point that became a second chance. And that's what I'm doing now, and we can get to that later. What I'm doing now is, deeply connected to a second chance at life, and also makes me very curious about the power of second chances and how that in many ways is one of the greatest acts of compassion. The same artist that wrote "The past she is haunted, the future is laced" has another lyric that says, "If it weren't for second chances, we'd all be alone." And that, whether alone in death or alone in life. And then recalling my life and seeing how many second chances I was given and trying to unwind the root of that. And all I've come back to is it's just love. That's what we do. When we love and we care, we continually give ourselves and other people second chances. And it's the most profound thing we can do.
You took a picture of your face.
Yeah.
And it was on the cover
Selfie.
of National Geographic. 250th anniversary magazine.
125th.
Oh,
yeah.
no. Oh, I
Yeah,
said
yeah.
250th. I think I'm stuck on the Donald
You
Trump
doubled
thing.
it. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So, okay. So there it is on the. Did it change your visibility in the public eye?
Oh, this photograph changed the entirety of my life. I mean, it was, again, I look at it and I'm like, oh, baby boy, like you're so, you're so good. You're so good. But I was very confused, and I was very scared, and I was trying to navigate something that I didn't understand, and that being my own mortality. But then having it on the cover and having the film do so well and spread beyond the climbing world and beyond climbing culture, increased my visibility to a degree that, at least in those worlds, photography and climbing was fame. And again, those are small worlds, but when those are your worlds and you're at the top of them, it has the same impact. And so it increased visibility, but the visibility also came at a cost. Because it was easy then to be like, well, I'm that guy, and that guy's special, so I'm going to act as if I'm, a little bit too special. And it gave me access to things that I never had access to before. And Because look, man, everybody loves to be next to the special person,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
people that don't think they're special.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very much believing on an internal level that I didn't have a lot of, I believed I was just broken. And this made me somehow less broken, not realizing that I was mistaking sort of external validation for internal value. Um, so yeah, the photo changed everything. But again, I would never take it back. I would never take back the avalanche. I would not take back a single second that I've lived because of where I am now. And that has nothing to do with notoriety or, external success. It has everything to do with the continual process of becoming more honest, which is to say the continual evolution towards reinvention and finding ourselves and finding home in ourselves.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed about the book is that you are not always the hero of the story. You sometimes you take a lot of people when they tell the story of their life, and we all do this to people that we meet. We tell them our story. A lot of times we're just the hero, but you went really honest with this thing, I feel. And
Yeah.
there are moments where, especially with relationships and with people, you really put everything out there.
Yeah.
And how did you, was it difficult to do that?
Honestly, I mean, I would love the answer to be yes, but the truth is it wasn't difficult.
Wow.
I've always had some level of just, almost like I can't keep it in. And that's not always great, by the way. We can overshare, and that we can use overt, feigned vulnerability to hijack intimacy. And to be frank, I did that.
Did you?
Yeah, of course. I was like, well, let me be so, here I am being so vulnerable, and that creates these very strong bonds that aren't actually totally earned. And so I very much am, guilty of that in my past. But I felt like it was important to be honest. There's a chapter where I'm talking about getting married and knowing at the time that I shouldn't be getting married. And I felt, a lot of people don't like that chapter because they sort of like, well, how could you do that? But I also have a strong suspicion that many people,
Of course,
get married
Yeah.
knowing they shouldn't get married. And I wanted to validate that experience, not just for myself, but for others. And again, none of this is about making excuses. In fact, like you said, I don't think people who are the hero of their own story are very interesting or very honest. And I don't think characters who are perfect and infallible are very interesting. We are not perfect beings, and the more we can be honest about that and share that, not necessarily as publicly as I have, but share that with our close family and friends and be very, very vulnerable and honest about where we fall short. I think that generates a sense of safety and a sense of non-judgment. I was dating a gal once, and she said the most beautiful thing to me. And she said, your past gives me so much hope because I feel safe, like I'll never be judged. And I was like, that is one of the most radical interpretations of this, because so often, especially if I'm sort of, if I'm dating somebody that's read the book, I'm often held to account to the past.
Yeah, I bet.
And so it's, like, oh, I'm scared that you're going to do this thing or be this way. And that's totally understandable and reasonable. But it was so refreshing to have somebody say, well, it gives me hope because I don't think I'll ever be judged. And,
That's beautiful.
yeah, it was really beautiful. I don't know if I answered the question. I fucking blacked out, but whatever.
I want to talk to you about what you're doing now, because you talk about defining yourself and that being dangerous because, maybe you're not going to climb Mount Everest again. Maybe you're not a photographer anymore. Maybe you've moved into something else, but you're going to use all the talents that you have accumulated in this other thing. What does the future look like for you? How do you see yourself in this world at this time?
I mean, right at the end of the book, I come to this realization that I just am. I just am, and I am not. There is no statement after that. I just am, and I will do many different things. And if I can define my purpose to to one word, then everything I do becomes an extension of that. When I'm in my highest self and living in my integrity, and that has become the word that I would use now. For a long time, it was compassion. Now I would say service. And so now I'm in an entrepreneurial space where we are building a company that is built on second chances. It's built on the idea that waste itself is really a lack of imagination. And, I think that, we're in the apparel space, but we're really in the material space. And what we're doing is using our own technology to take waste and weave it into something new. And the other thing that we do is we employ, at our Oceanside facility, we employ only formerly incarcerated or justice impacted people, and most women, because we understand that without a second chance, recidivism goes up something like 69 or 70%. If you can't find gainful employment in the first year after you come out of the system, you're very, very likely to go back. And so, I mean, it's all about second chances. It's all about, that's the ethos of it. That's the core of it. But we're also just really celebrating artistry and craft because, look, we don't even in my new sort of life where I'm leveraging all the things that I've learned through this journey. We don't even lead with the story of sustainability or our social impact. We talk about artistry. We talk about humanity. We talk about the tactile function of making things, because we believe those stories are the ones we're celebrating. And it's ironic that has drawn me back to photography. I've never been as excited about photography as I am now. But I'm certainly not a photographer.
Well, one of the things you said about your photography in the book was that something changed in you. I'm paraphrasing, I'm sure. Something changed in you when you found out it was about storytelling. It wasn't just about capturing moments. It was about capturing the story.
Well, look, it's all a story. We're telling a story today. That's what we as humans do. We wake up, we tell a story about ourselves, about the world we live in, and we live and die by that story. And photography has the ability to make us question our own stories. When we capture a singular moment, when we distill life to fractions of seconds, and then we hold that, we're capable of offering, photography offers to people a momentary window into somebody else's life that can fundamentally change our own if we're curious about the story behind it. And that to me is, look, film is, whenever I meet somebody who's, and I've encountered a lot of people who are, movie stars, right?
Yeah.
I always say just thank you. And the reason is because I believe that storytelling is what changes the world. I believe that film is one of the highest forms of that, and photography is, sort of a part of it. But look, what's fucked up is that we can name who invented the light bulb. We can name who invented the telephone. We can name, Tesla and all these people. Very few people can tell me who invented photography or the first camera. And photography changed the world more than any of those things. I mean, look at the screen behind you. We live and die by visual
Yeah, we do.
interpretation, and yet very few people can be like, "Oh yeah, I know who that was." And ironically, too, or not ironically, perhaps perfectly, the first recorded portrait that we have of like a standard portrait was a selfie.
Was it?
Yeah, and it's because and it says volumes about humanity that we just want to look at
See what
ourselves
we look like.
and understand ourselves, like what happens when we look at ourselves. And selfie culture, of course, has taken that to sort of an unhealthy level, but
Yeah.
what a fascinating thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
the
because
first
one of the
portrait.
things that we don't, being able to take it even further, video yourself. You see
Yeah.
something that you will never see. If you take a video of yourself or you're in a movie or whatever, you will see something that you will never possibly see. You'll see the back of your head,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah,
cannot see
right.
that. I mean, maybe you can stand with a mirror in a particular way, but you're never really going to have the experience of seeing yourself walk away.
Yeah.
Unless it's in
yeah.
a photograph or a film. And it profoundly changes things.
I mean, imagery is everything. We see it all day, every day, and we become desensitized to it. But the funny thing is our brains actually don't really know the difference between, reality and the image, which is why our mouth waters when we look at a picture of our favorite food.
Yeah.
Our body is getting ready to eat it, even though it's not in front of us. And that's why marketing and advertising works.
Oh my God. Yeah. Do you think that it's being used for evil purposes right now? And do you think there's a glut of photography going on?
Oh, well, it's always good. Every technology that we ever come up with is always going to be used both for good and if we and evil.
Yeah.
And so whether it's AI or the internet or social media or photography or the computer, like you can see it will be like anything else. And I'm sort of, I'm paraphrasing John Oliver here, but he said like, look, it will be like everything else. It will be an expression of the best of us and it will be an expression of the worst of us. And that's necessary. That's part of this because without the bad, we don't get the good.
Yeah.
If it was always one thing, then there would be no reference to the higher calling.
Yeah, I agree. But just like the life and death.
Just like bipolar.
Yeah. Did you, when you had your near-death experience, did it give you any kind of idea that the world is, an idea of oneness? They talk about
Overview effect, things
yeah,
like
that kind of
that.
stuff when people have a near-death experience. Did you have anything like that?
It's developed over time.
Yeah.
I will say this, in the moment, it was a second chance at life, and as it's spun forward, what I've come to understand. A lot of people ask me if I'm religious, and I'm not, and a lot of people have a hard time with that because they're like, "Well, it was clearly God that saved your life," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not. I don't. I'm not saying it wasn't, and I'm not saying it was." I'm just saying I don't know, so I can't actually speak to that because
Yeah.
one of the things that I've learned is that everybody believes they're right. And if we're all so convicted, then it probably means that none of us are totally right,
Yeah.
or we're all right. But I tend to believe now, and a lot of this is I've done a lot of psychedelic work too to help unwind some of this mental health stuff, and I have the sense and sort of an inner knowing that I mean, look, I said it in the book. The sum of infinity is one, right? And it's just one big thing, and however it happened 13.8 billion years ago, an explosion of nothingness into somethingness. It is all one thing. And we are constantly, the universe is the first, the biggest recycling bin. And the atoms that inhabit us have lived billions of lives over the course of history. And so there's this oneness to it, this connectedness of things that haunts me in a way, but in the most beautiful, the most beautiful fundamental way. And I take great solace and peace in knowing that regardless of me and my life, that I am part of something bigger and something so marvelous that it's beyond human comprehension. And the words God and things like that, I could call that God, or I could call it love, or I could call, but to think that I could define it and know it and be right about it outside of a oneness, to me, I'm just like, I can't, I'm not going to go down that road, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're at the hour, so this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming on the show, Cory.
Thank you for having me. What a beautiful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. At the end of the show, I forgot to tell you, there's a thing called a dance break where I play a cover song of a great song, some other people playing it. I picked one out for you today.
Great.
And we're just going to listen to a little bit of that, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody who joined us. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Please share this conversation. I think it's really insightful and beautiful. So let's do it. Dance break time.
Dance break.
Dance break.
When you left this town with your windows down in the wilderness inside, let the exits pass all the tar and glass till the road and sky align. The strangers in this town, they raise you up just to cut you down. Oh, Angela, it's a long time coming. In your Volvo lights, lit up green and white with the cities on the signs. But you held your course to some distant war in the corners of your mind. From the second time around, the only love I ever found. Oh, Angela, it's a long time coming. Hold me, land. Were you safe and warm in your coat of arms with your fingers in a fist? Did you hear the notes, all the static codes in the radio abyss? The strangers in this town, they raise you up just to cut you down. Oh, Angela, it's a long time coming. Oh, Angela, spent your whole life running away. Hold me, land. Hold me, land. Vacancy, hotel room, lost in me, lost in you. Angela, on my knees, I belong, I believe. Hold me, land. Hold me, land. Hold me, land. Hold me, land. Hold me, land.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Lunch Therapy. We'll see you all next week.